Hoda Kotb kicked Prince Harry off The Today Show after a heated argument that shocked everyone watching live. What started as a routine interview, meant to promote Harry's latest charity initiative, quickly spiraled into an on-air confrontation that left producers scrambling and viewers speechless. The tension in the studio could be felt through the screen as smiles turned into tight-lipped expressions, and polite small talk gave way to raw emotion and frustration. No one expected the conversation to take such a turn, especially between someone as composed and warm as Hoda Kotb and a global figure like Prince Harry, known for his diplomatic approach in interviews. But that morning, something was different. It began calmly enough. Harry was there to discuss his ongoing mental health projects and the legacy of his mother, Princess Diana. He was poised, polite, and engaging, speaking passionately about helping veterans and the importance of therapy. Hoda, experienced and professional as always, started off with supportive questions. But as the conversation shifted toward the royal family and Harry's relationship with the British monarchy, the mood subtly changed. Hoda pressed gently about his current ties to his father, King Charles, and brother, Prince William. Harry's face tensed, and the light in his tone faded. He gave short answers at first, trying to stay diplomatic, but Hoda continued to follow up, something any seasoned interviewer would do. However, Harry seemed to interpret her persistence as prying. At one point, Hoda asked, "Do you ever regret stepping away, especially when you see the toll it's taken on your relationship with your family?" The studio audience grew quiet. Harry looked at her for a few seconds before replying sharply, "I didn't step away from my family, Hoda. I stepped away from an institution that wasn't willing to protect us." The response drew murmurs from the crowd, and Hoda, sensing the tension, tried to steer the discussion back toward his projects. But the atmosphere had already shifted. Harry's tone had hardened, and his body language showed irritation. He leaned back in his chair, folded his arms, and his usual charming smile was gone. Producers in the control room reportedly began whispering through their headsets, signaling Hoda to keep calm and try to defuse the situation. She smiled and nodded, but the damage was done. She then asked a question that many believe triggered the explosion. "You've often spoken about wanting privacy. Yet you've released a book and several documentaries about your private life. How do you reconcile that?" It was a fair journalistic question, but Harry took it personally. He sighed deeply, muttered something under his breath, and replied, "That's a tired argument, Hoda. I share my story because people have twisted it for years. Privacy doesn't mean silence." The crowd clapped, perhaps trying to show support or lighten the mood, but the moment didn't land well. Hoda, staying composed, said, "Of course, but do you think sharing more has helped or hurt your family's healing?" That's when Harry's frustration boiled over. His face flushed, and he leaned forward, saying in a clipped tone, "You don't understand what it's like to be hunted every day by the press, and then have people like you question your motives on live TV." The studio went silent. Hoda blinked, visibly taken aback. The teleprompter froze as producers scrambled behind the scenes. For a few seconds, no one spoke. Hoda tried to de-escalate. "I'm sorry if that came across the wrong way, Harry," she said softly. "My intention was just to understand your perspective better." But Harry wasn't in the mood to continue. He looked toward the crew and asked, "Are we done here?" A voice from off-camera urged him to continue, but he removed his microphone clip and stood up. The audience gasped. Hoda gestured for him to sit back down, saying, "Please. Let's just finish this properly." But Harry shook his head. "I don't need this kind of interrogation," he said before walking off the set. The camera quickly cut to commercial. But the chaos backstage was already erupting. Crew members rushed after Harry, while Hoda sat frozen in her chair, still processing what had happened. When the show returned, Hoda apologized to viewers for the interruption and said, "We had an unexpected moment there, folks. Prince Harry needed to step away. We'll be right back." She handled it gracefully, but the internet didn't let the incident rest. Within minutes, clips of the confrontation began circulating online. Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube lit up with reaction videos and commentary. Some viewers sided with Hoda, saying she was just doing her job as an interviewer and asking fair questions. Others defended Harry, arguing that he's been through years of media scrutiny and deserves sensitivity when discussing his past. The hashtags #FayHarryOnToday and #FayHodaKotb trended worldwide. Memes flooded social media showing Harry storming off while captions joked about royal meltdowns before breakfast. Yet others criticized both parties, saying the interview represented everything wrong with modern media, celebrities oversharing and journalists pushing too far. NBC released a brief statement later that day, confirming that Prince Harry had left the interview early due to a misunderstanding and emotional moment. The statement emphasized that both parties had since spoken privately and parted amicably. But insiders claim things behind the scenes were far less calm. A producer allegedly said Harry was furious at the tone of the questions and felt ambushed. He reportedly told one crew member, "I thought this was supposed to be about my charity work, not another round of royal gossip." Another insider said Hoda felt blindsided by Harry's reaction, insisting that every question had been pre-approved by his team before the interview began. That claim only deepened the confusion. If the questions were pre-approved, why did Harry react so strongly? Some speculated that the conversation went off script, or perhaps Harry had expected gentler wording. Body language experts who analyzed the footage later suggested that Harry's anger came from a mix of frustration and exhaustion. He'd been on a long press tour, and his patience may have finally worn thin. Meanwhile, Hoda's composed response earned her praise for professionalism under pressure. Media analysts compared her poise to past moments when other anchors lost control of celebrity interviews. By the next morning, every talk show and entertainment outlet was dissecting the fallout. The View, ironically, opened its broadcast discussing the viral clash. Joy Behar jokingly said, "See, it's not just us who get into it on live TV," while Whoopi Goldberg added, "That was uncomfortable to watch, but Hoda handled it with grace." Over on social media, the narrative began to shift. Many users started blaming Harry for overreacting, saying that as a public figure, he should have expected tough questions. Others argued that Hoda should have shown more empathy given the sensitivity of his mental health work. By day 3, PR teams were in full damage control mode. Harry's spokesperson released a longer statement saying that Prince Harry appreciates Hoda Kotb's professionalism and regrets that emotions ran high. The statement added, "Values open and honest conversations, but sometimes needs to step back when personal topics resurface unexpectedly." It was a diplomatic attempt to close the issue, but the public wasn't ready to move on. Paparazzi photos of Harry and Meghan arriving at an event the next day reignited debates, with commentators noting his visibly tense demeanor. Behind the scenes, NBC reportedly debated whether to air the unaired portions of the interview. Some executives wanted to release the full footage to show context, while others feared it would worsen the backlash. Ultimately, they aired only a brief segment the following week, editing out the confrontation, but keeping the lead-up discussion. It did little to calm the storm. Viewers noticed the missing portion, and online sleuths posted timelines, trying to reconstruct exactly when the interview went off the rails. As days turned into weeks, the incident became a cultural talking point about the limits of celebrity openness and the ethics of modern journalism. Commentators debated whether Harry's desire for control over his narrative clashed with his decision to engage in high-profile interviews. Others said the episode symbolized the broader struggle between authenticity and media management in the digital age. Even late-night comedians joined in. Jimmy Fallon quipped, "When Hoda Kotb kicks you off the Today Show, you know you've had a bad morning." Eventually, both parties moved on publicly. Hoda continued her regular hosting duties, making subtle jokes about keeping things calm on set. Harry focused on his foundation's new mental health initiative and appeared more guarded in future interviews. Still, the viral clip lived on, amassing millions of views and sparking countless YouTube analyses. It became another chapter in Harry's complicated relationship with the media, a reminder of how quickly a conversation, meant to inspire, can devolve into a confrontation that defines headlines for weeks. Privately, insiders said Hoda and Harry spoke again via phone weeks later. The conversation reportedly ended cordially, with both expressing regret that the exchange had overshadowed the causes they cared about. Hoda later commented vaguely in a podcast interview, saying, "Sometimes live TV captures real emotions, and that's both its beauty and its danger." Her choice of words resonated with many, acknowledging that what viewers saw wasn't a scripted moment. It was two human beings clashing under pressure. In the end, the Hoda Kotb Prince Harry confrontation wasn't just a fleeting media scandal. It reflected the modern tension between celebrities who want to control their stories and journalists tasked with asking hard questions. It showed that even the most seasoned hosts and the most media savvy royals can lose composure when emotions collide. And for millions watching around the world, it was a raw, unscripted glimpse into the fragile balance between truth, image, and vulnerability on live television. A reminder that beneath the royal titles and polished smiles, everyone has their breaking point.